We're going to move on to item 6.5, our 9:10 a.m. item, presentation of proclamation designating June 15th, 2024 to honor Indian Child Welfare Act Day. Please,
anyone here for this proclamation, please come up. You want to come up? Yeah. You don't want to come up? All right. And so the board brought this forward to honor June 15th as the day, or designate June 15th as the day to honor ICWA. Indian Child Welfare Act was passed in 1978, and there's a lot of folks in our families that are here that are Native American. Prior to that, were actually being fostered out, and so therefore leaving folks that never even came back to a tribe at one time or another. And I've actually spoke with somebody recently whose father was fostered out from Lake County and who is actually Pomo, and doesn't identify or isn't coming here to talk with any tribe to see which tribe he is associated with. So that's just one out of I don't know how many, not to mention boarding schools where kids never came back or anything else that took place. So this is a very important proclamation, and I'm glad that everyone came to be here as a part of it, and so I'll move on with it. This is a proclamation designating June 15th, 2024 to honor Indian Child Welfare Act Day. Whereas the Indian Child Welfare Act was enacted by Congress in 1978 to address the crisis affecting American Indian and Alaska Native children, families, and tribes due to the high number of children being removed from their homes and placed in non-Indian foster or adoptive homes, often far away from their communities and culture. Whereas ICWA recognizes the inherent sovereignty of Indian tribes to determine the best interests of their children, aiming to keep Indian children connected with their families, communities, and cultural heritage. And whereas ICWA establishes minimum federal standards for the removal and replacement or placement of Indian children and affirms the importance of tribal authority in child welfare matters, ensuring that Indian children are placed in homes that reflect the unique values and traditions of their culture. And whereas the continued implementation and enforcement of ICWA are vital to the preservation of Indian tribes and well-being of Indian children, providing them with a sense of identity and belonging that is essential for their development and success. And whereas the area known as Lake County has been developed upon the ancestral homelands of indigenous people who have continuously inhabited, utilized, and stewarded the land since time immemorial, and is also the home to 7 federally recognized tribes: Big Valley of Pomo Indians, Elam Indian Colony, Habemetalel Pomo of Upper Lake, Khoi Nation of Northern California, Middletown Rancheria of Pomo Indians of California, and the Robinson Rancheria of Pomo Indians, and the Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians. And whereas we recognize and honor the resilience and strength of Indian tribes, families, and children, and commit to supporting the principles and practices established by ICWA. And whereas on June 15th, 2023, in the case of Holland versus Brackeen, the United States Supreme Court decided to uphold and reaffirm the importance of the Indian Child Welfare Act by a vote of 7-2, where Justice Neil Gorish stated, in adopting the Indian Child Welfare Act, Congress exercised that lawful authority to secure the right of Indian parents to raise their families as they see please, the right of Indian children to grow in their culture, and the right of Indian communities to resist fading into the twilight of history. And whereas June 15th, 2024 provides an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to the Indian Child Welfare Act, to raise awareness about its importance, and to celebrate the progress made in protecting the rights and cultures of Indian children. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake hereby designates June 15th, 2024 as a day to honor the Indian Child Welfare Act and encourage all citizens to learn about and support the principles of the Indian Child Welfare Act, recognizing its significance in safeguarding the future of Indian children and their communities. Passed and adopted this 11th day of June 2024, signed Chair of the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Sabatier. Chair Sabatier.
want to thank the Board of Supervisors for, proclaiming this day as Child ICWA Day. Thank you, Supervisor Crandall, Supervisor Simon. The importance of ICWA for tribes, I've seen the effect that it has on our people, when they're adopted out to families and they're taken away from their culture and the effects that it has on them. We have tribal members that come back and they're just lost, and to be able to keep them in the homes especially within their own tribal communities is very, very important, and we work hard to keep that, and so I'm just very grateful for this day and thank you guys again.
Again, thank you for the board for bringing this forward. It is very important when we're working in ICWA for the county agencies to work with us. There is an ICWA 30 form that should be sent out by social services when they have a child come in to their program. If CWS has a child that they're working with, a probation has a child they're working with. It's very important that we receive these notices so that we are in contact with these children when they're taken out of their homes. And that does not always happen, especially in this county, unfortunately. So I would like to bring that to awareness and to make sure that our county agencies are working with the tribes. Myself for Scotts Valley, we have Nancy for Big Valley, Marcia for Robinson, Tatiana for Upper Lake, and Ursula for Middletown. Just to make sure that all of the agencies know who we are, know our faces, and have our phone numbers to make sure that our children are getting connected with their people. Our culture is very important, our teachings, and just making sure that they have additional resources when needed.
My name's Marcia Lee, and I've had the great fortune of working with Robinson Rancheria for the last 21 years. It's really been a passion of mine, a career that I came out of nonprofit, moving to Lake County, first job I applied for. And during that time, 21 years ago, we had no communication, we meaning the ICWA, all the ICWA workers. There was absolutely no communication between us and child welfare. So I've sat at the table, and I'm so happy to see all of the representatives here from ICWA, because as they come forward, I'm backing out. It's time to make my leave, but I will never, ever forget or not hold in my heart what ICWA means and the respect that I have for the tribe and the love. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Habematopoma of Upper Lake Tribe and our vice chair that's present here today, I'm Sherry Trepp. I'm the chairwoman, going on 16 years as leading the tribe. I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for the acknowledgement. The Indian Child Welfare Act is vital to the continuity and culture of our people and our tribal communities. Burkine, unfortunately, wasn't the first lawsuit that made its way up to the Supreme Court, and hopefully there won't be another one, but it is unfortunate that the only reason there was a positive outcome is because the parties that sued were deemed not to have standing. There is, in one of the dissents, a roadmap for someone to get standing. So we're hopeful that there won't be another case, because it's more than just challenging the constitutionality of the Indian Child Welfare Act itself. It calls into question the standing that tribes have as governments, as sovereign governments, and that our citizens are just a race. So it is a lot more than just the act. It challenged the constitutionality on the basis of violating the Equal Protection Clause because tribes are just a race. It also was claiming to it violated the anti-commandeering clause for states' use of their proceeds. So it is vital that all tribes stay vigilant on protecting that act and others that may call into question that tribes are sovereign governments, and it is about our citizenship and political standing. But again, thank you to the Board of Supervisors for the acknowledgement. It's really heartening to see how things have changed over the course of the last 20 years, and I'm really happy that they have. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right.
Amene Kalaktak, Moke Simon, Tribal Chairman of the Middletown Rancheria. I want to thank everybody for being here today for this proclamation. I want to thank the board. I want to thank for the work that's being done in the county. But Chairwoman Treppa, said it. There will be another challenge, and we always need to be ready to protect our sovereignty and our members and who we are as standing in this country. I know that some of our success over the past 30 years in business and other things, people think, everything's okay. But we're constantly under attack as governments, and we need to continue to fight. Today, we addressed elders and children in 2 proclamations, our most valuable assets in Indian country. And keeping our children within our tribes and our homes is a long-term battle. It's a generational battle that we've been going on. So over going on 30 years for the Middletown Rancheria, we've gone through many different iterations. There is one thing that is not much known outside of Indian country, but tribal customary adoption orders are very important to work with counties to make sure that we can do, as we've done for thousands of years, keep our children in our homes and work together. So today is a very powerful day. I want to thank everyone for being here, and we'll continue that fight, and we'll do it together. So thank you very much. Oh.
So I'll just say lastly that in the proclamation it talks about educating, and just want to go back to about 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was a ceremony at Bloody Island, a sunrise ceremony, and in that there were Boy Scouts that came forward and attended it. The reason why they attended it was because the Boy Scout, the adults of the Boy Scouts were doing projects that gave them a badge that weren't really associated with Native Americans. It was just like a doll or something they had to do. And so they asked and reached out to learn more or find something else that's more legitimate to California and natives here. They're thinking that they're learning something with Midwest natives or anything in general that's kind of folklore. There truly is folklore. It's not even the actual tribal affiliated activities. So when they came out, they learned, and that's how it happens. Educating. I know that at times a lot of folks don't understand, but this is how we do it. We start helping to educate one another in all aspects. And so I appreciate the board working with me on this proclamation, and I appreciate everyone that attended and everyone else that's willing to learn about this. So,
Yeah, Vice Chair Simon, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Crandall, I really appreciate you bringing this forward. I appreciate all of you coming today, and that we have the ability to highlight and bring attention to these issues so that we can begin to work more collaboratively and break cycles and break silos and use all of our resources together to lift up all the communities. So thank you so much.
I want to thank everyone here. Before I joined the board, I worked for Department of Social Services in CWS, and part of my duties involved ICWA noticing. For those who aren't familiar, the whole reason this law exists is when CWS is doing its job and investigating cases where these foster kiddos are taken from their families. ICWA commands basically a parallel process to really do aggressive outreach to make sure if there's any tribal ancestry that's been identified, we bend over backwards to track down those ancestral lines and see if there are people interested in interceding in this case and possibly stepping up in support of this foster child. It is a lot of paperwork. It is a lot of certified mail. And I'm so proud to see our local representatives, including social workers, step up. When we're noticing tribes out of state, what we found is not all tribes have social worker staffs. Not all tribes have good records to check ancestry. And when they get these big old ICWA packets from out of state, it can create quite a burden on them. Some tribes just like, oh, we can't even handle this. I've literally had responses saying, we have nothing for you. And yet the history of this law and why we're doing it is, especially in California, such a shameful history of when kids were taken from families, actually bent over backwards looking for white foster parents as opposed to tribal reunification. So when we talk about being trauma-informed, ICWA and my training in social services was really my first introduction to the very extensive traumas that have been suffered here in California. So I want to assure those gathered here that while I was at social services, and I'm sure it continues today, we took ICWA very seriously. And I want to thank program managers, Mary Pagan, Kim Costa, poor Tyler Warren, I think, is the staff service analyst that picked up these duties after I left, and Gracia Albin was my supervisor before that. All of these people really informed me about the history of this law. They gave me the proper tools to apply this law. And I just want you to have every confidence that I'm sure there's still challenges, and you probably need an ICWA 10 and an ICWA 30 flying here and there that didn't get done. We know there's a process, and we're going to apply that process robustly here in Lake County. And I think that's a cause for celebration.
I want to thank Vice Chair Crandall for bringing this. I know that it feels like I'm constantly gaining in education and knowledge because of the colleagues that I sit with here at this dais, and I couldn't appreciate that more. I know that our focus is to build a better future, but we can't necessarily do that if we don't do something about the past. The past has placed people in different positions, some that don't have the same opportunities as others, and that's our goal, is to equalize that opportunity so everybody can succeed in their lives and reach their dreams. I do want to pick on one person in this group. I got to say, Katie Ray, you are everywhere. Whether we're talking about education, homelessness, healthcare, anything related to social services, I just want to appreciate your advocacy. I see you everywhere, and I admire your efforts in what you're doing, and I know that you're constantly always educating me as well and trying to raise me in better knowledge and better understanding of what I need to do when I'm on this dais. So thank you so much.
Phone's in the drawer.
Yes, I think we can accommodate.